So I did a lot of those type of exercises. Also, another one you can do, that is really good for tone, by the way, to get those together. Another one you can do is to start, say, play a high B flat, and then match the high B flat with the overtone fingering. So something like. And try and match intonation and pitch and tone, then and try it on B. To the real pitch, follow me?
Yeah.
With the regular fingering. Those are all really good tonal exercises. And this is my final piece of my tone rap, because there's one other piece of it. I got to play very briefly because it paid so terribly. But in the 90s, around 1995, I played with Maynard Ferguson for about, I don't know, 6 months.
Oh, the big band?
It was with the
smaller, yeah.
Big Bach Nouveau.
It
was with that.
Nice.
So I did it for about 6 or 7 months because I couldn't afford to do it anymore. But anyway, but I talked to Maynard Ferguson about I said, what did you do for tone exercises? And actually, he used to play soprano saxophone on the gig.
Really?
Yeah, he played soprano. Yeah. So I used to have to do a duet with him where we were both playing soprano, and he had as you might imagine, just like his drummer playing. He would dwarf my soprano sound.
Yeah.
He'd break that soprano. I mean, he didn't really have chops,
No,
but the sound coming out was huge.
Yeah,
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I asked him once. I said, even though he played trumpet and I play saxophone, I said, did you do exercises for your sound? Like, what did you do? And he told me one of the coolest exercises, and I think it applies to us too. And it was something that I talked about just in there. He said he would take pieces of ballads, like little pieces of ballad melodies, whatever they might be, and he would patiently play them in every register in different keys and make them as pretty as he possibly could, regardless of range.
Yep.
That's what he said.
Yep.
So for instance, like you could take, in a sentimental mood, you could play that first ascending line. It's a good vibrato exercise too, like start with straight tone and then add vibrato at the end. That's another good thing to do. But play it in all different keys. Now, I used to sit around and do that all day long. Like I would just pick any melody like that and use it as, you're kind of killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone because you're utilizing your transposition brain. How many of you have done that? Taken a line or a melody and tried to play it in different keys correctly? How many of you have done it?
Those are the ones in this room for sure.
Okay, so that's a really good place to start. It's a really great exercise. Of course, you have to be honest with yourself. You don't want to cheat and be like, well, that's almost what it sounds like. You want to make sure that when you transpose something, that it really is the precise transposition of what you're transposing. But that's a really good exercise on the saxophone, and it doesn't even have to be as complex as what I just did. You could pick 2 notes. You could start with 2 notes. Actually, there's a great saxophonist from New York City named Dick Oates, actually really from Iowa, but Dick Oates used to talk about doing exercises where he would pick maybe just a 2-note interval or maybe a 3-note melody and play it all over the horn in different places, and that could be a practice routine for 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe he would play, say, like a minor triad in first and second inversion. For instance, like let's say I was playing my F sharp minor triad, but starting on my C sharp, exactly. So. Or musical aesthetic to say, how's my sound on when I play it in a different key? How's my intonation, as Professor Braden just said? somewhere in a different key. Can I play this phrase so that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end with no break in between? Can we make it seamless? That's what it was the best compliment I ever received. Actually, I'm not sure. Wayne Shorter once told me that I played seamless. But I'm not sure he was being kind though. He was like, "You're playing it seamless." I'm like, "Thank you, I think."
Right.
Anyway,
Right,
you never know.
It was
You never
probably-
know.
probably meant positively.
Yeah, right. I think he wanted more holes in it. I think that's what he wanted anyway.
Right.
So, but anyway, but one thing that I used to like to practice is to make sure that when I did play a phrase, that it had a beginning and I brought it all the way through to its finality. So you bring something. It's like there's another way to say that. Sometimes people say bringing something to fruition. In other words, like you have a fruit that's not ripe, but you bring it all the way until it's ripe. So it's the same thing with phrases. You know, I had an older conductor once that heard me play "Broad Midnight" by Thelonious Monk, and you know, he heard me play that melody, and he said, it's kind of funny actually. He's an older man, and he took my arm. He said, "You are a very good player, but your phrasing is terrible." And he said, "When you play that melody," and he took my arm and he took his other hand and he said, "It should go, and he touched my arm like that. I was like, ugh." but it was a good point.
That was a good point, right.
He said the phrase should be like a caress. You know, I don't think he was coming on to me, but you get it. But he was being serious. He was saying if the phrase should be like a caress. It should be one long gesture and gentle. So I really learned how to do that, and I started thinking about it. The next time I played that tune, I made sure that everything was very, very flowing. Spent some time with those kind of songs that have those long, fluid melodies and make sure that they had a beginning point and that I really carried everything through to the end of the phrase. So that's something to think about when you play is if you're playing a phrase, are you really giving it its full gravity, its full shrift of heft when you play it.
So actually, I would expand on that, but I think I said someone in here already. I can't remember what class it was. Maybe it was in here yesterday. The idea that every exercise should, even up tempo or medium tempo ones, should have that same sense of melodiousness. The goal to play every phrase in a musical way. Just like some exercise that my teacher wants me to get done. Check the box. I mean, I get that part of it, but use the opportunity when you're working on any kind of exercise, any melody, any pattern, any of it, scales, chords, all that stuff. Just think, use those opportunities, every opportunity that you have your horn playing some notes. Try to imagine them as a melody.
That's exactly right. And you know, I think my favorite players, and I talk about this a lot, as jazz players too, and I wish we had more time because this is a whole other topic, but a lot of times as jazz players, we're so excited to get to our solo that we forget about how to play the melody. It's like we're trying to get through the melody to get to our solo. So the word that I like to use is that every time you play a song, no matter whether it's jazz or not, no matter what it is, it's a classical piece, a rock tune, whatever it is, you need to invest yourself, like invest in the melody. Invest yourself emotionally, physically, be in the moment, be aware of where you are. You know, don't just be rushing through it to get to like, oh, my solo's coming up, I'm just gonna get and just play my butt off on a solo. You need to be in the moment with the melody and really invest in that melody. So if you can do that, first of all, it's going to make your solo better at that point, if you actually do that, because you're going to be coming from somewhere, and you're not just going to be starting from scratch when you get to your solo. That melody is going to inform everything that comes after it, if you really invest yourself in it. So that's a great point that Don is making. You want to not, every time you practice, you don't want to just rush through it just to, as you said, check a box.
Yeah.
You want to sit with something. And, Ellis Marsalis used to say to his students, I remember talking to John Coward about that, John came in unprepared one day, and he played for Ellis Marsalis, Wynton Bradford's father was a great piano player. And John knew he was unprepared, and so he played something for Ellis, and John was waiting for it, and Ellis said to John, he said, well, are you happy with that?
Wow.
Are you happy with that? And John, and that's the roughest part, because you got to own up to it at that point. You said, no, I'm not happy with that, if you're honest with yourself. So that's the thing, you got to make sure that every time, no matter what you're practicing, that it's much better to practice a smaller amount of material and really practice it and really get it down than to try and get to 15 things in an hour and sort of be like, well, that's good enough, that's good enough, that's good enough, and then just call it a day. You want to make sure that the things that you're practicing, you're really following through all the way. That's my philosophy. I know that we're probably almost done.
Basically,
Yeah,
this is,
I would love to just.
hang on all
For
day.
another
Yeah. But thanks everybody. I mean, I hope this was sort of helpful, and it's nice to meet all of you.
May I ask for 2 more minutes, and
Sure.
can you play, give us all a short phrase and assign us, like, learn this. So
Sure.
give us a short phrase and say, go home and learn this.
Okay, cool. Let me think about that. So, it's funny because I'm writing my entire curriculum right now because of my tenure right now. So I'm actually starting to,
really
do some of these things on paper, like commit it to paper.
Right.
Let me think. Let's do a minor 2-5-1. So let me think about this. So this would, in other words, this would be I guess I'll say it in concert key since we're all on different horns. This would be a minor 2-5-1 in the concert key of C minor. So if we're talking about the actual concert chord changes, you would have a D minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have covered any of this.
We've been broken into different theory groups, and some of us have talked about this either in our theory classes, or we actually talked about minor 2-5s in my band this morning as we were looking at Stellar.
Yeah. Okay. So
some of us have some context.
Okay. So first of all, is someone recording this? Okay, good. So that's good. So you can go back. So I'm going to play it very slowly at first. So the chord changes in concert key are going to be D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 with maybe an alteration on the G7, and then to C minor. Okay. So here's a very typical, and this is going to start on the root of the minor 7 flat 5. So it's going to start on concert D. Okay. So here's the line very slowly. Okay, so that's very typical minor 2-5 bebop line. I hope I didn't change it. No, you want to play? Yeah.
I'm just turn it down.
Okay, so 1, yeah, exactly. 1, 2, 3.
More time?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's a very there's a lot of ways you can approach that, but that's just one particular melody that will work in that situation harmonically. So that's a. Let me give you one more. I'll give you one more. I'm going to give you a major 5 too. Cool. So let's see. Let me think about it. That's a good one. It's a little tritone sub. So this would be in concert B flat. So this would be starting on C minor. Yeah, that's right. C minor in this case. That's right. So 1, 2, 3.
More time?
Yeah.
I'll play some this time.
Yeah.
I added the sub.
That's
too.
right, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Sub
yeah.
to the sub.
I added
Yeah.
sub. It's
Two
triangle sub.
to the five. The first time you just did the
Well,
five, and then the second time you did the two of that sub five.
No, it's triangle sub. So pure so C minor F7 F sharp.
Yeah.
To be 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah. The first time you
Yeah,
just
let's
played
go
the
look
five.
at it. So maybe play again. So then the two of that, we add the two to that one more time.
1, 2, 3.
Exactly. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Nice, right?
So I give you a couple lines to work on.
Yeah.
In different keys.
These are real.
I'll try to get this recording out to you guys.
Yeah, nice job, everybody. I like hearing you all play over the blues like that. That's great. That's great. One kind of overarching comment I'd like to make is whenever you take a solo, whether it's on a blues or whenever you do, don't be afraid to plant your feet in the ground and really let people hear you. You know what I mean? It takes a while to get, more and more confident in your own, in your own body and feeling confident enough to stand up and say, here I am when I solo. But that's a really important part of it, is just to say, announce yourself.
Yeah, remember what Sarah was talking about on Monday at the first master class, right? Like, come up to the mic and just introduce yourself and let the people clap for you. Just gotta be comfortable.
Yeah, it takes a bunch of times. I can tell you that, and not to belabor this too much, but I remember the first solo I ever took in my high school big band ever, and it was on a blues, and I had, I think, 2 or 3 choruses that I had to play, just like we just did, and I stood up, and this is what happened. I stood up, and I was like this. I mean, I was shaking. My knees were shaking. My hands were shaking. I remember this clearly. I was about 16 years old, and I had never taken a solo really in front of anybody before. And I stood up, and I was shaking like a leaf. And I don't know what I played, but somehow I got the horn in my mouth, and something came out, And I remember going through it and being so nervous, and then sitting down, and the section leader, who was a couple years older than me, put his arm on my back and said, "Good job, man. You got through your first one." And that's the thing. It's just you got to do it and do it and do it over and over and over again, and you'll become more and more confident the more you do it. Because you all have great ideas. I can hear it. And every one of you have really good ideas in your solo. And so, when you go up to play, let people hear you. Don't be afraid to. First of all, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you're not. No matter what you play, if you play it with heart and soul, it's not going to be a mistake. Okay. So people will respond to your confidence, even if you feel like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Put it out there, loud and proud. Like really, like be you know, just really, you know, don't feel like you have to be shy about not knowing exactly where you're going. That'll come in time, but when you go to take a solo, let people know you're there, you know? That's kind of like the number one overarching concept. You know what the word moxie is? Who knows what moxie means?
Yeah.
That's why my high school band director said the number one rule in jazz soloing is you have to have moxie first before you have anything. He was right about that. So, you know, play with moxie, you know, play with gusto. But it's really, really nice to hear all of you. I really enjoyed hearing you play today.
Great.
I guess I should probably make the rounds a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think
Say,